Hey everybody, welcome to Trading Capital's daily live stream of the market open. Today is currently April 13. I kick off the new trading session. There's some economic data that we got that we have to digest. Obviously, PPI came in lower than the market is expecting. Inflation looks to be coming down, but again, it's mainly anticipated because of that energy reading. But again, with energy increasing as of late, specifically in the oil industry, will that be the case next month? We also had the job loss claims coming a little bit higher than expected, so we are seeing a little bit of weakening in the unemployment, but still nothing yet to get all crazy about. But at some point in time, the markets are going to switch from the inflation narrative to the jobs to the unemployment narrative, and then that's when you typically have a recession priced in for stocks. Now, markets took that as a positive because yields dropped and the dollar dropped. If you look at the dollar took a big dump on that data. We're getting very close to that double bottom, which means that likely it should get a bounce very, very soon. You can also see that we did hit a beautiful little channel today. Basically, you can see if you take that pivot high to this pivot high, we're coming into this wedge pattern again at the low range of the wedge. We tried breaking out here, failed. Now we're coming back down, and it just so happens that this wedge is also near the double bottom weekly breakout zone on the dollar. So pay attention to that. Obviously, the markets are positive as of now. Will be gapping up. The big question is the gap downs have been met with buyers. The gap ups have been met with sellers. So will we get a continuation move? Time will tell. All right, let's look at some alpha trades, some opportunities that I'm looking up. First on the radar is a short. I have one short, one long. Sorry, two longs, one short. Starting off with the long, we're looking at HOG, Harley Davidson, gap down. The CEO, I think it was the CEO, CFO's potentially resigning and stepping down. So definitely that one is on the radar for a long trade. It went all the way down to 34.24 in the pre-market. So let's just mark that off. It's substantially off of the lows, but 34.24 was the level that it went down to in the pre-market. But you can see it's rallied all the way back up to 36. So I would like to see if we get a double test or even a test of, let me just go to a little bit of a larger term time frame here. Even if we get a test down in the pre-market around 35.16, providing the markets hold up. So we have to really pay attention to the spiders because they will be leading this. But a long on Harley Davidson around the 35 Pierce, even better if it flushed down to 34.24. Okay, let me see what else we have. Another long is CTLT. Catalink had earnings. They are gapping lower today. Basically, let me just look to see what they did in the pre-market. I think they are off of the lows, but let me just double check that because it is one of the potential long setups. So the low that it hit in the pre-market was around 58.75. You can see it's substantially off of the lows. So if we mark in that pre-market low, 58.75 around there, you can see it's trading at 61.75. So I would like to see, because this is an earnings play, I would like to see it come in, or I guess it's just a little bit of poor forward guidance, but I would like to see it come and test that low range again at 58.76 for a potential long trade. Obviously, if we get a little bit of a bullish intraday pattern off the lows, we can potentially play that for a long as well. And then a short trade, NVO. So this stock has just gone parabolic. If you look at the daily chart, it is making new highs, so it is a little bit risky, but I mean, this stock is getting very, very extended in nature, and you've had a one gap up, a second gap up. This is almost going to be like a 3-bar surge to a high, and I do think you should see some profit taking just with the vertical nature of the stock. The level that I'm looking at for NVO, it did hit just a pierce of 170 in the pre-market. So we know the pre-market high is just about a pierce of 170 up there. I'm looking around the 168. Anything above 168, I would get curious and intrigued about potentially shorting this name. You do have natural gas under pressure, but it's trying to defend that little bit of a low today, but it is under pressure today. You have oil. Still really consolidating at these highs over here. Gold is the big mover as well. Blistering through, trying to have a technical breakout on gold. We'll see if it can actually finally break out today. You can notice this little trend line is trying to peak above there. Obviously, GDX is getting a boost from that. That's also a potential day trade short on GDX. Realistically, there's two levels for a day trade short. One is that red bar high. Two is this gap fill. So those are kind of your levels around 36 Pierce and just under 37 for a day trade short on GDX. And then we're going to look at, what else can we look at? Bitcoin. Bitcoin and crypto are popping. Basically, Elon Musk announced that Twitter is releasing their own little brokerage platform for trading stocks in crypto. So obviously crypto's liking that. ETH is really the beneficiary. It pierced the 2000, almost went to 2010 bucks, about 2009, just above 2009. It is pulling back slightly, but definitely getting extended into these resistance points. Definitely lots and lots of resistance for ETH up here. You can see that ETH is trading just above this resistance, trying to break out. So that's a big level that we need to be paying attention to on ETH. Let's jump back to the spiders to see what they are doing. So basically, I will remove some of these trend lines. Let's take away that trend line, and that trend line, and that trend line. So we still have that major resistance wall up ahead. Obviously, yesterday was met by a big reversal lower, but we are gapping up as we speak. The big level on the Qs and the semiconductors that I'm watching is that obviously they triggered that inverse head and shoulders on the semiconductors, or sorry, the head and shoulders topping formation on the semiconductors. Another big level on the Qs that I'm watching is, do we recapture? There's a couple levels here. There's this trend line over here, which we broke. You can see it wicked through here, got bought back up, and then you broke down over here and broke it on an hourly basis. Do we recapture that trend line today on an hourly close? If we do, markets can still chug along higher. If we get rejected, that's a big level for the Qs, and you can argue that this is a little mini topping formation that is triggering, that needs to be paying attention to. Nvidia is a big name as well that we're paying attention to. I'm just quickly doing a blast through many of these stocks, but you did trigger a head and shoulders on the hourly chart yesterday by closing with this hourly breakdown bar on a decent amount of volume. The neckline recapture on an hourly close would need to be above 267.50, give or take. If you get an hourly close basically back above this red bar high or above this neckline, you're looking for a failed bearish pattern, which means Nvidia can actually go higher. Now, if this pattern completes to the upside, I mean, you have a basically 280, you have an 18-point move down, so that would take you to 255, about 253 on the charts if you were to break this pattern and see the downside. So basically, 252, 253 on the charts is going to be a big level for Nvidia if this pattern does come to fruition. Alright, so now that we have a little bit of charts on the radar, basically we will be keeping an eye on HOG, NVO, GDX. Nat gas is getting a nice big wick from the low, so good to see that it's being defended. There's also a key resistance line on the spiders, which I'll bring to your attention. That simple trend line. If we can get above there, right now we are trading right at that line. You can see we're slightly above it, but the big question is, can the markets push and close above that key resistance level? That's kind of what I'm waiting and hoping to see, rejection there. But if not, then we can play maybe a little bit of a trend to the upside. The market has pulled off from the highs. Gold has stopped rallying. Bitcoin saw a little bit of a dump as well. ETH is still holding up out of all the cryptos the most, so it's good to see. But we do have job loss claims increasing at a faster than usual rate. So the airlines actually got a nice little bid as well. Airlines did get a bid. That was interesting to see. So definitely keep HOG, NVO. China stocks are under a little bit of pressure. Baba's bouncing, Baidu's down. Overall, the indices are positive for China, but you have some key names that are showing weakness. Keep in mind, bank earnings are tomorrow, so pay attention to the KRE, the XLF, the KBE to see what they do, specifically around JP Morgan. They report earnings. Take a look at how extended gold and silver. Silver just absolutely blows my mind. This move on silver into these double top pivots also is we obviously, full disclosure, we are swing shorting silver as of now. But again, silver is so extended in nature. And I do think that this is a good day tradable short level. A couple things would be the SLV. Let's remove all these drawings. If the SLV hits this gap fill, that's also a short in the opening session. You have that gap fill and then this gap fill. So short SLV if it hits this 2386 or higher. Keep that on the radar. So I'll be watching silver for a short. We have 3 minutes till the market open. I'm just going to flip all my screens back to the regular trading. Alright, so SLV is looking pretty strong right now. Markets are catching a little bit of a bid before the open. Key names like Nvidia are trying to rally. And again, I'm watching for a neckline retrace and recapture on Nvidia. Apple's trying to push up as well. Now gas trying to bounce. Oil's still strong, consolidating. So we'll keep the spiders on the radar just to see how they open and what type of resistance we get. Qs are also important to watch. Alright, we have about 1:20 to the open. Let's take a look at Micron as well, because Micron is actually very weak. Alright, spiders are set to open here very shortly. So SLV, HOG, NVO are my top candidates right now. Spiders are set to open around 4930. SLV's trying to push up as well. Markets are open. Spiders are gapping up. No trades yet. Spiders are still just hovering. Nvidia is getting rejected off the neckline. Crypto stocks are pushing up like Riot for now. Spiders are seeing some resistance though at this level. We'll see if they can hold this gap up in the markets. That's the big question. Wow, even Eli Lilly had a huge double top. Guys, keep LLY on the radar. Eli Lilly, I love this double top scenario. If we can get one more push up into this double top, we will short it. Hopefully we can pierce it. It's a new little candidate on the radar. Keep that on the radar. Pierce of 375.22, we can short Eli Lilly. SLV's trying to push up. Qs, markets are pushing up pretty big here. Take a look at this. Spiders are hanging in there though. We'll see if this can continue. The dollar just made a new low. XOM is dropping pretty hard. That's very interesting. Definitely the deal of the acquisition likely being priced in. Silver still off of the level. NVO is pushing up. Anything at above 168? Let's take a look at this SLV. Apple's pushing up. Take a look at GDX. Alright guys, I have a level on GDX approaching very, very soon. Very, very soon. Anything above 36 on the GDX we can short. Anything above 36 on the GDX. I mean, I'm even tempted to right now. WW. Nvidia is getting rejected at the neckline. Take a look at the spiders. Spiders are above that neckline. Nvidia is getting rejected, so semis are still weak right now. Nvidia is coming in hard now, guys. Nvidia is getting rejected. I'm going to take an SLV short if we get a little bit of another pop-up, 2371. I will short it at 2371. Let's see if we can get a little pop through SLV. Alright guys, I'm short SLV here. 2371. 1/6 position. Actually, we'll do a 1/5 position on SLV. 2371. Nvidia is coming in hard. The dollar's still softening. Healthcare is starting to see some weakness. I'm still interested in NVO. Let's do a check on HOG. That one's still gapping lower, hasn't quite hit our level. NVO for a short is still in the watch, but it needs to go up a little bit more. Spiders are still acting well though here. Spiders are still acting well. GDX is coming up to 36 level. GDX is coming up to that 36 level where I will look to short it. It's getting very, very extended. Take a look at that reversal on Eli Lilly. That's a nasty reversal. Just missed our level. SLV is still trying to push up. Spider's got a 5-minute close above that neckline. Nvidia is still weak today. WW, this stock is squeezing to the highs. I do have some good resistance points here, but I would need to let it see it hit this gap fill. Little light on volume actually, so I may just skip that. Spiders are starting to reverse. Big sell candle on the spiders. Silver still acting well. Nvidia's coming in sharply now. IWM has reversed, so that's interesting. Very, very interesting. The KRE is dumping. Look at this KRE. Boom. Huge dump on the KRE. That's a hard sell. We're talking about a 5-10 minute sell on the KRE. That is very hard. Apple's still surging higher, so this market would really be tanking if Apple wasn't holding up. Definitely some interesting plays out here. Keep GDX on the radar still as well. I am interested in GDX. Liquidity is coming out of the banks right now. Wow. Big sell-off. Big sell-off. Definitely weakness in the banks ahead of the earnings. That's very intriguing to see. Oil, Microsoft still strong. Carry still weak. Nat gas is coming back down. SLV is still just off our level. Nvidia is seeing a lot of sell side pressure. VIX is starting to creep back up. A lot of the commercial real estate home builders are under attack. Wow, Meta is surging. Meta is surging high. Let me see if I have a short level on Meta. Day trade short. Wow, look at Meta go. Wow. Look at Meta go. Anything above the 219, we can short Meta for a day trade. Anything above 219. It's pushing up now. Spiders are still acting weak. I'm watching Meta on my other screen here, guys. Apple's pushing up. Still strength, a lot of strength in this market. But a little bit of mixed price action. Definitely mixed price action. Meta is surging, screaming higher. The spiders are getting a nice bid. Nasdaq is pushing up tremendously here. Microsoft, Apple are leading this market higher. Wow, they are just surging without any sort of a break. The dollar's heading for that double bottom zone. It's almost at that double bottom zone. But the markets are screaming higher now on a falling dollar. Meta's above this level. Let's see if we can... I haven't got filled. You can see there is sellers there that pierce that resistance. We should get another attempt here because the spiders are acting very, very strong. I'm still watching silver. Alright, I'm short Meta, 219.10. 219.10, 1/6 position on Meta. 219.10. Alright, 219.10 on Meta. Silver's pushing up. Apple's pushing up. GDX is still just off our level. But I like that 36 pierce level. So keep GDX on the radar. Alright, Meta's coming in nicely here. Meta's coming in nicely. Tech is still acting extremely well. I'm going to look for about 60 cents. Maybe to $1 on Meta. It's very extended. Come on, one little push down. The Qs really haven't taken a breather yet. They've just been surging, but Nvidia's weak. Here we go. Here comes Meta. Dollar should be finding some support very, very soon. Yields are still collapsing, so are they pricing in a recession yet? All right, guys, I'm out of Meta. 218.25. 218.25. Covered Meta. Boom. Nice little win there. That's about a... what is that, 70-cent win? All right, let's go back to our SLV trade because that's coming in now. SLV is coming in. GDX didn't quite hit our 36, but that's coming in nicely. The dollar's trying to bounce. Dollar is trying to bounce. KRE is getting a little bit of a bounce. Natural gas is making a new intraday low. Geez, natural gas is getting pummeled. There might be a long trade on natural gas. Let me just eye something up here. If natural gas comes into this 210 level, we can actually go long natural gas. But it's getting pummeled right now, down another 1.5. Let's just focus on the markets right now because they are acting extremely well, specifically with that dollar weakness. GDX is still resiliently well. IWM's acting well. Gold's still acting well. Ethereum's about 2,000 bucks. Healthcare's starting to come down a little bit here. Spiders are under a little bit of near-term pressure. I find it interesting that the semis are still weak. So if you look at the SMH, they should drag this market down. They're just hanging on by a thread, and Nvidia keeps getting rejected off of that neckline. So this looks to be like a valid topping formation on Nvidia. Take a look at that. It tried recapturing it, got rejected. Downsides there. Not saying it hits there, but with the market, with the semis weak, we need to be very mindful that this market could roll over because typically the markets don't rally without the semis. I do have a spider long. If we were to flush basically to about 407, I do have a spider long trade. SLV is starting to push back up. The dollar's trying to bounce. Wow, natural gas is just incredibly weak. Incredibly weak. There actually is a gap fill coming up on natural gas at around 210. Maybe that's where it wants to go. Natural gas is just flushing ahead of inventories, just getting demolished here. Spiders are getting rejected. SLV is pushing up. Next ad level on SLV would be 2382, or even at this pivot high of 2386. That's about a 15-cent spread. Let me just check out this daily chart again. Yeah, I'll wait for the gap fill. 2386, 2385, probably 2385 just to get my order in ahead of time. But 2385 I will look to add to SLV short. Let's take a look at some of those other names that we mentioned in the pre-market. Hog is still under pressure. NVO, anybody that was able to take that, that's pulled in substantially. It didn't quite hit my level. But the reason this market is acting so strong is because of Apple and Microsoft. They are holding things up right now. But semis are seeing a lot of sell side pressure. GDX is about 25 cents off of the level that I'm looking to short. Natural gas is still coming down. It's now down 2.39%. Spiders are holding up. KRE had a huge bounce now, so the banks are back trying to trend higher ahead of earnings. There was a little bit of nervousness there that took place, but now they are trying to bounce. SLV is starting to come in a little bit here. Take a look at this dollar. It's so close to this double bottom wedge pattern. It's trying to bounce, but not quite at the double bottom yet. SLV is starting to come in now. This chart is still one of the most extended charts. Alright, SLV is coming in. Qs are seeing its first round of selling on a 10-minute basis. Let's keep a look on the spiders. And the QQQ. That's still holding well. Basically, you need an hourly close above this key trend line on the Qs. You have 44 minutes to close above this trend line. If you do, you negate this little topping formation and you could trend higher. But if you don't, then that pattern still remains bearish. Apple is so strong though today. Apple is so strong today. Gold is still consolidating above the highs. Spiders are still really stuck at that resistance. So the big question is, will they start coming down? SLV is pushing up, guys. Get ready to add to our SLV. This thing is just a powerhouse. Doesn't want to go down. Really taking advantage that the dollar's making a new low in the trend. Still interested in GDX as well, but it's still just off of our level. Nvidia's heading lower. New intraday low on Nvidia. New intraday low. This should drag the market down. You'd never see semis this week. So the market's being propped up by Apple and Microsoft and Amazon and Google. But the semis are taking its round of selling. Nvidia is now negative in a positive tape. Keep a look at the spiders here. Spiders are still hanging in there. They're trying to hold this trend line. And it's really probably because the market, the dollar's low. So you have algos bidding it up. Trying to really hold this market up. Walmart is getting crushed now. Take a look at Walmart coming in. So a lot of these leaders, Costco also starting to come in. But Walmart's seeing some heavy selling. I know the communication sector was weak, but it's starting to rally up tremendously well, and that's just due to Meta. I mean, look at Meta. Meta's now coming up. We can actually look for a short on Meta again, but the next level would be basically 219.40. Anything above 219.40 on Meta. What type of a range is that? That candle is actually, it would be 219.45. Amazon looking good. Google still holding up. Microsoft. Let's do the Q check again. Qs are holding up. Spiders are also holding up. So JP Morgan is actually negative ahead of earnings tomorrow. So that should weigh in on the banking sector. JP Morgan is negative. Crypto's trying to get another push to the upside. Ethereum's still hanging on and remaining very, very strong. Do a QQQ check. Once that NASDAQ softens, or if it does, that's when you should see the marks roll, because semis are still very, very weak. And it's surprising to see the market trending this higher or holding up this well. But again, weak dollar, weak yields. It seems like the tech is being bid up again. Home Depot, Kimco, BX, Alexander Real Estate, they're all under pressure. Some of the home builders are also under pressure in the strong tape. So it's a very concentrated rally today. It's a big cap, mega cap tech rally that is occurring on Wall Street. You have Amazon up 2, Tesla up 1.4, Apple surging. Nvidia is trying to push up now. Apple does have a gap fill that it looks like it's trying to get to around 164.70-ish, 164.67. So maybe that's where Apple's trying to go. Spiders are trying to still hold that little bit of a trend line. SLV is holding up well. Let's keep the spiders on the radar. GDX is pushing up again, guys. GDX is surging up again. So keep that on the radar. I will execute a short at a Pierce of 36 bucks on the GDX. So Nvidia is seeing another round of selling. Wow, this GDX chart is insanely high. Spiders are now coming in. Sorry, I'm just sending out an alert to my members. Alright, so silver's coming in now. GDX is starting to come in. The spiders are seeing a heavy, heavy candle now. Heavy, heavy candle to the downside. SLV were basically flat on that trade. But definitely a big rollover on the spiders. Bitcoin's starting to roll over. And look at that, the dollar. Simply the markets are reacting to the dollar catching a little bit of a bid here. But the spiders are still acting very, very well here. Very, very well. SLV is starting to see some weakness. SLV is. Bitcoin's starting to roll over a little bit. Ethereum's struggling at that 2,000 resistance. Nvidia new low. Volatility starting to pick up. Tesla's still hanging on to a lot of gains. MARA is hanging on as well. So the Qs are still holding up. We have to respect that for now. That mega cap tech is definitely seeing capital rotation and strength. But will it hold up all day? Silver's starting to come in now. SLV is starting to come in. Nvidia is catching a boost. Apple's still at the highs. So this is where it gets crazy, is that if Nvidia starts to bounce and really we don't see any softening in Apple or Microsoft, then these markets could push up a little bit more. Dollar is trying to bounce, but still so weak. Home builders are very weak. Home builders are exceptionally weak today. Jeez, Meta is a powerhouse. It did hit our next ad level, but I missed it. So you can see it's pulling in there. That would have been a nice little ad level or short level. I would play it now again if we were to retrace back to the pivot high in this next basically 5 minutes. So I need a pierce of basically 219.50 and it gets me intrigued again. Let's keep an eye on the spiders here. Wow, big move on CRISPR Therapeutics. Baidu's looking exceptionally weak. JP Morgan's still down on the session. Seeing some heavy volume. Natural gas is still bleeding lower and lower and lower. UNG just keeps going. Natural gas is almost at that 210 level. That should be some decent support. It's hard to line it up with the exact level on the UNG. Spiders are trying to push up again here. Markets are acting resilient. Alright guys, Meta is starting to push back up again. 219.50, I'm intrigued. I would prefer it at the highs again, but 219.50, I am intrigued to short Meta. Alright guys, I'm grabbing some Meta, 219.53, 219.53 short Meta. It's a 1/5 position, 219.53 short Meta. Mega cap tech is still bouncing well. The Qs are holding up. Alright, so that's a good little pullback right now on Meta. Let me just erase this little trend line. Still just pushing up. Next ad level on Meta would be 219.93 and then 220.33. It's basically 50-60 cents higher. SLV is still waiting on that. Gold just briefly made a new high. Qs are now seeing a little bit of selling. Spiders are also coming in sharper now. Take a look at the spiders. Back under there. Meta's coming in sharper now. I want Meta at least 50 to 60 cents again. Basically, I think we could even get maybe... Let me just see this volume bar. That's your wide range. Looking for about at least 65 cents on Meta. Probably even more, depending if the spiders start to soften up and weaken. SLV is pushing up, so keep the SLV on the radar for another ad. Spiders are coming down. Spiders look like they want to attack the gap at around 408. Look at this Meta. All right, guys, I'm covering Meta. I'm covering Meta 218.60, 218.60. Boom. Big win on Meta. Nice job, guys. 218.60, and it's going lower. Look at that. That is a nice 92-cent gain for us. Times 2 on Meta. Beautiful job. Beautiful job. $150 shares for me. All right, SLV is pushing up. This thing's a powerhouse. I'm going to add here at 23.82. 23.83 I got filled. Oh, it's surging higher. Holy. 23.83. That's a 2-6 position. Wow. This thing is just a beast. 23.83 I got filled for a 2/5 position. That brings us up to 23.77 average SLV. Let me flip back to the GDX now. GDX is almost at that 36 level, guys. GDX is almost at that 36 level. Next ad level on silver will be 23.93. GDX just hit that 36, guys. GDX just hit that 36. I'm shorting it here, 36.02. GDX. 1/6 position. Nice, we nailed the high on that GDX. Silver's still acting well. Gold is pushing up. Markets are still hanging in there. Next ad level on GDX will be 36.32. 36.32. In terms of GDX, what we're going to look for is about a 20-cent gain. 20-cent gain on GDX. Okay. Hog is still coming down. I'm watching that one for a long setup. Markets are still acting well. AMD's seeing weakness. Microsoft's holding up. Apple's also holding up. Airline stocks are back under pressure like Delta. Alright, GDX is coming in here. I think we can get 20 cents on GDX. I think we can get at least 20 cents on GDX. Oh, SLV's coming in now. Gold's putting in a 10-minute topping tail potential. GDX is also seeing some distribution. SLV's seeing a harder sell now, so we're just basically almost flat on that trade. It's been a powerhouse as well. But again, markets are acting very resilient here. AMD's coming down. Apple's seeing some more selling. Bitcoin is also seeing some selling, pulling in from the highs. Alright, SLV, we're in the money now. GDX is seeing a sharp reversal. So maybe this is the bottom. And look what's happening with the dollar. Dollar's trying to put in a little bit of a bullish base. It's still a micro pattern. Let's check the spiders, still struggling there. Keep SLV on the radar. In terms of SLV, I think we can get, just based off of its extension move, let me just quickly do a little bit of mental math here. I'm looking for at least about 20 cents on SLV as well. Probably about 15 to 20 cents. Alright, markets are coming in a little bit harder now. The dollar's trying to get some steam. I'm looking for about 15 cents on SLV. 15 cents on SLV takes us down to about 23.62. 23.62. I'm just playing this a little bit conservative for that gain. GDX, I'm still looking for more on GDX. Again, the precious metals have been so strong that there might be a potential that we have to hold it overnight, but it is a pretty, it's one of the more extended charts, that's for sure. But let's just see what the market does here. Let's keep a look at the spiders. Spiders just don't want to go down. They are still holding up. And that's strength in Microsoft. Look at Microsoft lifting this market single-handedly, pushing back up to the upside. This is why the spiders and the Qs do not want to go down. And then Apple's holding up well and Tesla's pushing up. So it is pushing this market higher. But definitely strengthen this market today. Home builders are still under pressure. Look at these home builders. They've been market leaders. So definitely pay attention to the fact that this market isn't rallying across the board. This is a mega cap rally. It's kind of insulating the sell. Take a look at KBH. Whoops, or KBE, sorry. Also, actually holding up. Let's do Lennar check. That's rolling over. So definitely some weakness in these markets across the board. It's not a full-on fledgling rally. GDX is coming in. Get ready to exit our GDX here. Again, I am swing shorting this as well, so I do think it pulls in much, much more. GDX, I'm covering here, 35.81, 35.81. Covered GDX at 35.81. It's a nice little win. Boom, boom. That's a 21-cent win. 21-cent win. I had 500 shares on that one. That was a small little 1/6. Let's just now monitor SLV. SLV is trying to put in some consolidation here to move higher. The dollar is still trying to push up. So the dollar is making a little bit of a higher high from the low. We'll see if the markets react at all. Spiders are still hanging on. Apple, Microsoft, not a care in the world. They are pushing up with strength. Microsoft is now up on the session 1.14% and climbing. How's Meta doing again? Actually, Meta is coming up into another short level again. Look at Meta. If Meta pierces this level, I am interested. So pierce that 219.50 level again on Meta. Come on, we'll little push up on Meta and we will short it. Didn't get that pierce. SLV's back to the highs. Spiders are pushing up here. Spiders are pushing up. Qs are acting well. The Qs are also at the high of the session. These markets just don't want to go down at all. They are in full rally mode, taking advantage of the dollar. But again, it's not a matter of how they open, it's how they close today. The volume is super, super thin today. That might be helping. Volume trends are very, very light. I'm going to let Meta push up a lot higher now because the spiders are so strong. Spiders making a new high. I expect Meta to make a new high. Wow, look at this push on the spiders. Look at that push on Meta now too. The next level on Meta would be around 219.80. Short on Meta, I do like that. But the spiders are acting super, super well. Definitely a concentrated rally in the mega cap stocks. Not everything is participating in this rally. It's primarily the mega caps. You have Amazon up 2.8, Tesla up 2.1, Apple up 1.9. Nvidia is now green, AMD is now green. So this is a mega cap rally like no other. Definitely a mega cap rally. Silver's right back up. Meta's still acting well. Sorry about some dogs going crazy in the background. My neighborhood. Natural gas making a new low. JP Morgan, I find that intriguing. It's still lagging tremendously. It's lagging this market very, very much. Let's do a UNG check because we may be able to day trade UNG long. I want nat gas to hit this level. Keep UNG on the radar. I'm going to day trade nat gas. Actually, it's inventories. Inventories actually came out at 10, I believe. Let me just see if I can find that. Or it might be 10:30. I'd have to double check. But this is a good support level on UNG right now. Natural gas is hitting that 210 level. Didn't quite pierce the gap fill I'm looking at. Markets are just pushing up higher now. So we do have nat gas inventories in 20 minutes. So the spiders are still acting well. Microsoft's still pushing up. Regional banks are hanging in there. Gold is still hovering above the 2045 level. Definitely some crazy strength. In gold, SLV, we're slightly in the money. The dollar's still trying to bounce. Spiders are acting well as of now. Look at this GDX chart, right back to the highs of the session. Jeez, craziness. That was a good little cover on GDX. In and out. We're still waiting on SLV. That's actually consolidating, which is not typically good. McDonald's new high. Copper is pushing up. So markets are rallying in anticipation of a Fed pivot and inflation coming down. Inflation's still at 5%. Obviously PPI came in lower than expected. But we're not out of the woodworks for inflation, because next month, if energy prices stay at these highs, you should see inflation start to uptick again. And bank earnings tomorrow should be interesting. Qs are trying to hold that neckline, so that's going to be a failed breakdown on the Qs. If they have 17 minutes left in the hourly candle. Let's look at the spiders here, but the Qs are really where the powerhouse move is. So the spiders are up 0.43%. Look at the Qs up 1.1. This is a mega cap tech rally. Mega cap tech rally. But a couple winners in the book. We're still just nursing this SLV trade, and then we will see if there's any other opportunities that come to fruition. I do have a shortable level on the Qs around 317.70. 317.70. Let's actually just move this. I'll show you on the chart here. Kind of have this pivot zone coming up here, this reversal, and that down sloping trend line. If we get a push right directly into this in the next 10 minutes, then we can short the Qs. But the markets are just rallying. Huge rally here. Wow, what a big rally. Microsoft at the highs, definitely charging that gap fill at 289.38. Apple's at the highs. Volatility hasn't taken out the lows, which is kind of interesting in that sense. So keep the QQQs on the radar for a short trade. Another short trade. Really, I'm not seeing anything else as of yet. A lot of stocks are lagging. You have home builders getting slaughtered. You have some of the other important sectors that are down. So basically, the sectors that are up right now, let me just take a look. Ooh, spiders, big push. So we may get that short coming up on the Qs. Definitely keep that on the radar. But you have industrials down, consumer staples down, utilities, real estate are all down. So all the defensive sectors are down, and you have the risk assets in mega cap tech outperforming. So that shows you where the sentiment is. Look at this spider push. Oh my goodness. What a push. Definitely keep the Qs on the radar. That's going to be a short trade, guys. A short on the Qs. Nvidia's recapturing the neckline. SLV's coming down. what a rally coming in the stock market. Microsoft continuing to push. Everything is pushing up. The spiders are ripping now. People are expecting a Fed pivot, definitely. That's what markets are pricing in right now. Healthcare is even strong. It hasn't taken out the highs yesterday. SLV, we're in the money on SLV. Nat gas is getting a bounce, so take a look at that little UNG level that we provided earlier. Could have went a little long there. Didn't quite fill the gap that I had to the downside, which makes me a little skeptical. Spiders still hanging in there. Qs are still, this level's still valid. This level is still valid for a short on the Qs. But Apple's pushing up. Jeez, what a rip-roaring rally on Apple. Spiders new high. Q's new high. Meta is pushing up again. I will short Meta again. Actually, I'm going to do the Qs. I'll do the Qs. Qs look like they want to hit that level. Unless Meta pushed up to about 219.75, I would look to short it again. 219.75. Our Qs are coming up, guys. Get ready on the Qs. Oh, look at Meta. Meta's almost at that target as well. 219.75. There it is. I'm not shorting yet because Qs haven't hit my level. I'll let you know if I get a fill. Oh, Meta's pulling in now. Meta is pulling in. Let's go 219.80 now. Let's see if the Qs get that final push up in there. I'm looking at Meta as well, 219.80. I want to short at 219.80. I will short Meta. It's about 20 cents away. The Qs are still at the highs, so I'm still interested in that. But it's whatever comes first, either Meta or the Qs. That's what I'm looking at here. Natural gas got a big bounce off that level. We're in the money slightly on SLV by about a few pennies, 5 cents. Qs are coming in now. Meta's also coming in. Spiders are still acting very well here. Qs may get one final push. McDonald's new 52-week high. Extreme rally coming in. Still intrigued that home builders are so weak in such a strong tape. Just shows you this concentrated rally. There's a lot of selling once again happening under the hood of this market. Qs are just hovering, still just hovering off of our level. Still interested in Meta. One final push may come in on Meta. Qs are seeing its first little sell candle. Hopefully we get one more push into this resistance here to start a short. SLV's falling now. Gold is coming in. Dollar's trying to bounce a little bit. So markets are reacting to that. Notice we're just stuck in a range now. We've still making a series of lower highs. You had a high here, a high here. Is this your high today? Maybe. Maybe it is. Still, this market is just range bound, chopping people up and spitting them out. Natural gas, big bounce off of that level that we gave, but it's still so weak. Down on the session. I'm still looking at Meta, but Microsoft and Gold is maybe potentially putting in an hourly bottom or hourly topping tail. Come on, Qs. Get ready for the Qs, guys. Anything above 317.67, 317.68, just basically at this line here. I have a level around 317.66. Amazon's up 2.97, Tesla's up 2.5. We're now approaching that 10:21 time frame. Meta's coming in a little bit sharper now. So Qs are getting a small little pullback. So you still have 4 sectors red. Energy's green, materials green, but the big ones are tech outperforming and communications. Meta's coming in off the highs. Just the 2 winners in the books for us today. Sorry, 3 winners in the books for us today. And we have an SLV short still out there, which it's just hovering around that level. Spiders. QQQ looks to be trying to push up one more little time. We may get that fill. Meta's coming in a bit sharper now. So are the Qs. Gold is seeing a little bit of resistance. Take a look at that dollar trying to creep up again. Trying to creep up from the lows. Spiders are coming in, Qs are coming in. Nice little dump on Meta. That could have been a great short level at those highs, but did not take it. SLV is starting to weaken up a little bit here, but still holding up relatively well. Gold is coming in a little bit sharper now. Still very strong though. Apple's seeing its first little round of selling. We have nat gas inventories coming out in about 6 minutes. Microsoft's trying to push up again. So just not stopping Microsoft at any point in time here. Let's do a quick check of the SMH. I know that turned back to the positive side with Nvidia leading the charge. Micron. That one's relatively weak today. Silver is starting to come in a little bit now. So silver is coming in. Still strong though. Still very strong. Spiders now trying to consolidate and move higher. You can see we're into this resistance trend line now. So maybe there's a potential that we move up a little bit more. Just draw 2 little trend lines. This is a short level on the spiders in the next 10 minutes if we push up there. It's kind of similar to the Qs. Notice how the spider UVXY still hasn't made a new high. 2-year yield is trying to creep back up. KRE banks are starting to get a nice rally. So notice how Nvidia is still at this key trend line of resistance. It hasn't been able to close above. Industrials are definitely weak today, but trying to rally off of the lows. Take a look at Caterpillar. That's down, but still trying to rally. JP Morgan trying to rally back to the positive side. So definitely some added strength trying to come into the financials, which could give this market a little bit more of a boost. But the Qs have had an impeccable rally. And again, it's obviously because yields in the dollar are down. Algos, market makers, participants think the inflation narrative is over, and they're definitely buying all of these stocks up with both hands at this point in time. KRE has had a huge rally, so definitely helping the bank stocks. So market volatility is just slowly dying out here, but we're trying to get another little bit of push up. Still interested in it. Maybe a Q's short here. Need to see it push up though in the next few minutes. Nat gas inventories will be out in 2 minutes. Dose minute. But a big rally today for stocks on that economic data. And will the market eventually start pricing in the labor force weakening, aka recession, or are they just going to keep pricing in a Fed pivot and supporting of the Fed buying the dip? Right now, market participants are pricing in a Fed put under this market. Keep natural gas on watch here because it is on watch for inventories here that are coming out. It is trying to get a little bit of a bump up, but it's still down in the session 2%. Meta is starting to roll over. Meta is starting to roll. QQQ, I still like this. Because we consolidated, I'm now going to let it pierce this downsloping white trend line. Maybe wait for this 379, but I'm going to let it pierce this white trend line before I take a short on the Qs. But we are approaching that 10:30 time frame. Gap up on natural gas. The inventories were 25 billion. The forecast was 28 billion. So it's positive for nat gas, and it is catching a little bit of a bid here on natural gas chart. So that's positive for the inventories. But will it last? That's the big thing. Sometimes they say the first move is the wrong one. Geez, Apple and Microsoft are grinding higher as we speak. Meta is starting to roll over a lot sharper now. So Meta's been a leading stock in this whole rally as well. It has been lifting the communication sector single-handedly. It has been lifting this communication sector. And notice the relative weakness where here's the communication sectors for the last couple days. You failed to take out the highs, but Meta actually did take out the highs from the last couple days. So that's relative weakness in the communications, which says that there's a lot of stocks still selling under the hood of the communication sector. One stock I'm looking to short is this Charter for a swing short. It is at a pivotal level. You can see this. I'm just giving you a little bit of an insight to a swing trade short, but this is a picture perfect bearish wedge forming up. I'm so tempted to even call a short today because this stock is primed to look breakdown. You have a micro bear wedge, you have a huge macro bear wedge. Definitely looks like a primed candidate to move lower. And I am very intrigued to short that particular stock, but as of now I'm just waiting. But it is a potential level. Spiders hit that resistance, rolling over. QQQs didn't quite hit our resistance, but they're rolling over as well. Meta's seeing a hard sell-off right now. Nvidia getting rejected at that hourly neckline. So the Qs did negate the topping formation, but the semiconductor head and shoulders is still valid and intact on an hourly close. Now you still have the whole day to try to negate it, but the semiconductor bearish pattern is in effect. Natural gas is holding up some gains. That would have been a nice level on UNG to add to. Pick up a day trade. Let's keep our eye on the spiders here because they are starting to roll over a little bit more now. SLV is also starting to soften up just a little bit here, so keep that on the radar. I'm still interested. Again, this one I think actually comes a lot lower because I am shorting with my members, but just for a day trade, considering it's a larger position, I'm still looking for about that 15-cent gain. Nvidia is softening up now. Microsoft softening up. Natural gas is holding up, trying to rally. Let's take a look at Google. Google's acting well. Amazon's also acting well. Nat gas is pumping now. It's starting to push back up. It'll be interesting if it goes green. If nat gas goes green today, that might likely be the low, and we may start the next big major uptrend. It's got a lot of work to do, but that's just kind of the expectations for natural gas. But nat gas is pushing up here. It's a positive momentum play at this point in time. Markets are also trying to push up. Dollar's consolidating here, trying to maybe make another move off the lows. On that note, I'm going to call this stream to an end because we have been going for a little bit of time here. But again, same expectations. If we get an SLV hit here, I will cover at 23.62, looking for about 15 cents on the trade. We still have additional three add levels on this particular position. I would add to my SLV, now that it's consolidated, 23.94. And then also 24, sorry, let me just isolate that down. 24.05, sorry, 24.10. And then the final level would be 24.23. Again, I'm comfortable holding this one overnight. I am swing shorting it, but those are the technical levels. And we'll just have to see where these markets finish today. But so far, they're looking very, very strong, and we'll have to see if that trend continues. On that note, congrats on the wins today. We did make quite a little bit of decent amount of money here on GDX and Meta twice. So congratulations on those trades, and we'll see you on the charts tomorrow.